Hello, Never Woke Nation. I am the least woke man in America, and I just want to talk to you about exactly what the Never Woke Nation is. If anything, the Never Woke Nation is a place where we don't even pretend to believe in the fallacious, progressive, woke nonsense our society is being flooded with right now. We don't pretend to be ashamed in believing in a higher power. We don't pretend to be ashamed of thinking the Second Amendment is a great thing, protects our democracy, and we don't believe that there's anything wrong with guns, and we're not ashamed of it. We're not ashamed of eating animal protein. We think there's nothing wrong with that. We are not ashamed of believing there's only two real genders. We don't we're not ashamed of the fact that we believe childhood should be an innocent period of life and that fully grown adults should not be talking to children about gender identity. That's the world we've created for ourselves, where allowing children to mutilate their genitals actually makes you a good person. Okay, I don't understand it. You don't understand it. And we're not going to pretend to understand it. And we're not going to feel guilty that we don't understand it. And that's what the Never Woke Nation is about. We believe America is a good country, maybe not perfect, but absolutely will we not allow America to go down the tubes because of this woke progressive nonsense. Because we have created a culture for ourselves, and I've talked about this on the podcast, whereby the citizens, mature, responsible, law abiding citizens, are now the people. And some of them are in their 60s and 70s, have done the blocking and tackling for a half a century as far as working, following the law, being good citizens, being good family members, being good employees. Now these are the people that have to look over their shoulder. I call it constant bunny rabbit mode, worrying about what they say or what they do. Because you have another group of people, for whatever reason, think because you dye your hair purple, rack up $100,000+ in student loan debt while learning completely asinine nonsense that has no bearing on reality whatsoever, that's almost like getting a sheriff's badge, where it's now their job to police whether or not the people who do the blocking and tackling and actually work, the producers, as we call them on the podcast, who produce something, to make sure the producers are living up to their progressive expectations. No. That's not how this works here, okay? Not even close. So, not just here in the Never Woke Nation, in America. And that's why we're fighting against it, because it's a joke. The whole thing is a freaking joke. It's the easier route in life, all right? You and I both know this is not progress. It's a misnomer. It's regress. It's a regressive movement. And we are all for progress. We're all for technological progress, medical progress, military progress, you name it. So they left this idea that we're like a bunch of cavemen, because we see fetus as more than a clump of cells. We're not putting up with that either. Sorry, not happening. So we're for progress. And we know one of the most progressive events in human history was the creation of the United States Constitution, which which made the role of government to protect the individual rights, which in their self-deceived mind, they think they are the ones who are for individual rights. Yeah, for abortion, but everything else, where are they? When is the last time you saw a conservative or libertarian want to censor the speech of another person in this country? Name it. You won't find one. So it's self-deceived nonsense. We are the group for individual rights. We understand the United States of America has been the greatest explosion of individual potential that's ever happened in the history of mankind. I call it collective conservatism. They love to talk about the collective. The collective is just nothing but a bunch of bullies. It's a regression where the group gets together and takes stuff from people. That's bullying. Collective conservative says when the individual rights are protected and the individual has freedom, it unleashes the potential of the individual, which helps the entire group. And that's the world that you and I lived in, mainly because of previous generations. You cannot say that the current generation, the land of printed money and mass shootings and culture of death and massive drug addiction, is the culture, the group that built this country. We're not there yet. I'm 43. I wouldn't even say I'm part of that group yet. Time will only tell. That's the type of humility we have to live with, because we are fighting against the massive ocean of self-importance on the left. So we know it's not progress. We know it's a joke, and we're not putting up with it anymore. Law-abiding, good citizens who built this country should not be tiptoeing around a bunch of whack jobs. And that is what the purpose of the Never Woke Nation is. Unapologetic, pure Americana. It doesn't matter if a person's race, it doesn't matter if what part of the two real genders they're part of. That's what we're fighting for here. We have a respect for what we have been given. I call it American privilege. I might not know much about white privilege, and I don't plan on learning anytime soon, but I know it's a privilege to live in a country where people drown in oceans and die in deserts to live in. So that's what the Never Woke Nation is fighting for. You want to subscribe? Just click the subscribe button at the bottom of the video. There's the Least Woke Man in America podcast at leastwoke.com. We're also on the major podcast apps: Google, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Podbean, Stitch, you name it. We're on most of them. At Twitter, it's at Least Woke, and we also have the massive, growing Never Woke Nation Facebook page. So we are all over the place. But if you want more videos, and the podcasts are also every podcast for the most part is put on YouTube. Then just click subscribe below, and you'll become part of the Never Woke Nation. You will join our fight because, as I've said before, people are taking decisive action in tough times. Ron DeSantis, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, other right-wing politicians, other conservative pundits. We have to. There's people all over this country running for school boards, running for town trustee, etc., to fight against this nonsense before it destroys an entire generation. Well, God bless all of you. I hope you subscribe, not just to myself, but other right-wing pundits, because God knows the algorithms in Silicon Valley do not like us very much. So liking and sharing and subscribing helps so much. Again, not just for myself, but all the right-wing pundits out there. God bless you all, and from the least woke man in America.